Bob mentioned Judge Clayton. I think Judge Clayton is the man who said from the bench that the NAACP stood for niggers, apes, alligators, coons, and possums. He's a federal judge. So you see what we're up against there. Bob may not like this, but he was a mythical figure in SNCC. And I tell you, he had a habit when he spoke of doing like this. And soon everybody in SNCC was doing like this. Everybody doing like that. And that tells it all.
But so, as these conversations about the summer project for 64, as some consensus begins to build that there's an opportunity and some resources for something big in 64, how do we finally get to the trigger being pulled, the button being punched of what that's going to be?
Bob knows that more than I.
Actually, we get to it with another murder. You go back to Herbert Lee. Right, and Herbert Lee's murder, AMSI came down when Herbert Lee was murdered, and we spent the week, every night, we'd wait till it get dark, and then AMSI would drive out with me looking for witnesses. We found one person, Lewis Allen, right? And Lewis Allen became the witness that testified about the murder. And he was hounded. The sheriff broke his jaw. They locked him up. They were ruining his business. He was, he did lumber, went down. And then they finally murdered him. And so they murdered him in January of 1964. And for me, that was like the bookend, right? We had now started out with Herbert Lee. We couldn't do much in response to that except commit ourselves. But now we were actually able to envision calling on the country to come down and take a look at itself, right, through its Mississippi eyes, right? And so there was a big debate within the field staff and within SNCC about whether or not to do the summer project. But for me, we were, and part of what was going on was the reaction across Alabama and Mississippi, because remember, you had the church bombing, right, after the March on Washington, right? Those 4 little girls were bombed away and in the church in Birmingham. And then you had a series of church burnings and terrorism across Alabama and Mississippi, all that fall, right? So it's like we were sitting there, we were sitting ducks, right? The country had announced, the president, it was going to go after civil rights legislation, and the white South was reacting, right? And terror was going through. There was nothing to stop it, right? And so all of that was going on. And then, but really, it was Lewis Allen's murder that made me say, well, yeah, no, we can do something different now, and we need to do it.